The UN's refugee agency says that more than 4 million refugees have now fled Ukraine. The UNHCR says it is the fastest exodus globally since World War II, and it's still increasing. Poland has absorbed the most people, with more than 2.3 million Ukrainians entering the country.
I think 4 million people is roughly the population of Los Angeles. I'm from the US, but imagine every single person in a massive metropolis suddenly being forced from their homes, their communities, everything they know. So it's, you know, we mark this as a milestone, but it's really, I think, a tragic indicator, but it also doesn't even capture the full scale of the conflict. We have 7 million IDPs within Ukraine. We have maybe 10 million people trapped and can't move. So actually 4 million, it's massive, but even that doesn't capture the true scale of what we're facing.
Well, in Budapest for us in Hungary is our correspondent Maeve McMahon. We can cross over to her now. Good to see you, Maeve. I understand that you've been at the border, you've been talking to people who've been trying to make their way into Hungary. What are their needs and how is Hungary helping them?
Good evening, Helena. That's right. In fact, this morning, in the early hours of the morning, I was brought into Ukraine, to Berechova, about 10 kilometres from the border in western Ukraine, along with humanitarian workers from the Order of Malta, who told me that so far 600,000 refugees have fled Ukraine into Hungary, and up to just a couple of days ago, 1,200 were entering every single day via that route that I saw just today. But today the situation was rather different. I just saw a couple of dozen refugees entering. They said there's a couple of reasons for this. One, because the fact that many who wanted to flee have already fled, but also, and they couldn't confirm the exact details, but many who want to flee are trapped. They're trapped because Russian bombs have bombed bridges, which means they cannot leave and flee. So it was really quiet today. And they're also, of course, telling me about the various challenges that they're trying to foresee. And one of them, of course, is the exploitation, because most people that I saw today were women and young girls, like one girl who was on her way hopefully to Berlin on a bus with her cat Zen. It's mostly young women like her that are travelling, and that's why exploitation is a big issue. So I caught up with a humanitarian worker, Rachel, and asked her what was being done to address this really disconcerting issue for people who are already having a harrowing experience trying to flee war. Let's take a listen now to Rachel.
A relief center, a hotspot near to the border, the Hungarian-Ukrainian border crossing, Berecsas, and there are a lot of police officers in order to secure the place to prevent human trafficking. So we are in good hands at the hotspots.
It's worth pointing out as well to our viewers that where I was this morning in Berechova is in western Ukraine. It's a peaceful village of about 7,000 people, and it's far from the bombs. It's far from the destruction. It's a very poor neighbourhood. You can see that it's a very deprived region. You can tell the stark difference between EU member state Hungary and non-aspiring EU member state Ukraine. For example, the roads were full of potholes. There was so many petrol stations along the road, but they had no petrol. We saw people driving horse and carts, and lots of people driving old Lada cars. People there told me that they don't go for coffee. They make coffee at home. They don't buy bread. They make their bread at home, and that's the way they live, and in a very kind of decent way, far away from the EU quarter of Brussels.
Maeve McMahon in Hungary, in Budapest there. Thanks so much, Maeve.